Welcome to the third installment of the TL Performance podcast. Today I'm going to be on video. I'm experimenting with video, not video, just to see what everyone likes best. So at the end, if you've listened to some of the other ones, let me know what you think, because going forward, I can make changes. Obviously, I don't have a studio or anything like that, so I do my best. But hopefully the message is what matters anyway. So I wrote a blog that's going to go out in a couple of weeks, and I want to talk about the content here. Some people don't read blogs, you never know. When I started my professional career, which is now was 2006, so 16 years ago. And even before that, I started weight training when I was 17. I was skinny and lacking in confidence. So I hoped that if I could put on some muscle and bulk up, that it would attract more girls and gain more confidence. So some of my early influences were the bodybuilders, like Arnold Schwarzenegger in particular. I grew up in the '90s, and his Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding was one of the first books that I ever got on training. And I used to buy the Muscle and Fitness magazines pretty much every time a new one came out, and I would follow all the workout routines and how they structure them and stuff like that. So my earliest influences were from bodybuilders. And then when I graduated school and I went into work in the entertainment industry, I just wanted to be outside every day. It was long hours. I'm in Southern California, and my long-term health and physical abilities were more important to me than being in an office. So I wanted something where I could do that. And I loved being in a gym. So I thought, well, hey, I'm going to try being a personal trainer. I like helping people and I get to do what I really enjoy. So let's do it. And I did that for a while, and I've gone through pretty much every trend you can imagine. I worked for LA Fitness for a little bit of a while, and then I went to Equinox. And Equinox is where I really got exposed to the functional training BS. And one of the first things I remember them teaching me, and I say that with quotes because I wouldn't try this at home. When I was doing bench press, they were teaching the trainers that to go below 90 is dangerous for the shoulder. And I had always known before that to bring the bar to the chest, which is what I do now. But at the time, they rationalized it by saying that's one of the weakest positions, and it puts the shoulder in a vulnerable position, which just kind of shows about how easily persuaded people can be. So I did that for a while, and it negatively affected my posture. My shoulders paid the price. Either my head paid the price, because I'm someone who has some forward head and rounded and have had rounded shoulders. And then they have an in-house education program, and that was where I started learning kettlebells. And that is one that I really wish I had taken the lesson sooner, because I did kettlebells for quite a few years, and I've reflected on why I think I didn't learn as quickly on that one. And I think it's because bench press is kind of a staple of weight training. It's something that, you can read about from years ago up until now. It's not a new thing. So when kettlebell came out and became popular, it was a new thing. And there wasn't all this information from people that had done it that said they did it one way. So there was no contradiction to compare to. So you just kind of assumed that that was the way to do things and that it was a good idea. And I lifted a lot of heavy weight. So I did kettlebell swings. I did all this. I was trained in all the different movements, shoulder presses. And I have to say that my spine in particular really paid the price, both from a extending position and also some rotational components that I still have to deal with in my stretching programs and stuff. And part of the reason is, how many of you remember when you were young, when you had to pick something up, you didn't want to pick it up from really far away from you, because if you did that, it would go into your spine, because you don't want something that you're lifting to be away from your center of gravity. So it's pretty much inevitable that it's going to go into the spine. And the movement of the swing, when you have to lean back in order to counteract the weight out in front of you too, you just can't avoid it. As good as you say you are and you want to be, you will be extending your spine at least a little bit, and that's going to hurt over time. And then most of the time the kettlebell's in front of you, and you spend these positions where you probably can't see it too much, but you're rounding your shoulders and you're doing all that. And I found that it really caused a lot of damage, and it's something that I learned a lot of lessons from it, which is good because I can apply and help with my clients, but definitely physically I regret. And then just the extreme training volume and it being all about heavy weights was a lesson that I paid the price for, because there was at one time, and some of my influences were, a lot of the mainstream guys before Ian anyway, before Ian King. And there was times where I was doing up to 40 sets or something in a workout, and that would take, an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is just crazy. I was so exhausted and I hated it. But I thought I needed to do that much, which you don't. And always lifting heavier, which is actually what led me to KSI. So I guess I kind of got to be thankful, because sometimes we don't learn until we break ourselves, unfortunately. And hopefully I can help so that you avoid that as well. So anyway, coming back to why I started talking about that is last week I did a session with an elderly woman who plays tennis who had pulled a muscle. And we were having a conversation about, we were helping to understand what she can do and how to take better care of her body. And just sports like tennis sometimes play a lot for long periods of time, and quite often, especially recreational tennis players. And factoring in age, you can't, not everyone can do the same thing. As you get older, we cannot avoid the aging process, but we can slow it down. We need to spend more time on recovery as we get older, and we need to be aware of how much training volume we're doing. And she said to me, but I have to play, because if I don't play, if I get injured and I can't play, then people will stop picking me or might stop asking me to play. And that doesn't feel very good. And that was a big, wow. I mean, it's a heart moment. It's just heart-wrenching, the compassion you feel for a person, because that's all any of us want to do in life, to be able to play and enjoy the things that we like and enjoy our life, spend time with loved ones. And that's why training decisions are really important, that they're made with the individual in mind. And I understand at some level that for some people, it's okay to do generic programs that don't ask any of those questions without paying attention to the long term. But when we make choices about body fat and how much muscle size we have just based on instant gratification for the next couple of months, or in the summertime, because we just had Memorial Day, then I can tell you from my own personal experience where that can lead 10, 20 years down the line. And then seeing people like this too, you understand how it could have been avoided a long time ago. So when you're making the choices, I have no problem with wanting to look good and wanting to, improve your physical abilities, but put a little bit more thought into it than just the popular programs that are online, or even going to classes or gyms where everyone is doing the same thing. It can be done better. It can be individualized, so that when you are in your 80s, 90s, and 100s, or however old you make it to be, you can still play the sports that you love, not be in pain, enjoy the time with your family, and just have a happy life. And that's it. That's my thoughts for this podcast. As usual, place comments down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Questions as well, you can send them to me, Tom at tlperformancela.com. You can leave them in the comment box below. You can follow me on Facebook, TL Performance LA. You can follow me on Instagram, coach.tomleggett. And I'm a coach with King Sports International, kingsports.net. For anyone looking for coach continuing education, if you're a trainer and you think that there's a better way to do it, there most certainly is. Check it out. Coaching program has changed my life, and it can do the same for you. Until next time, we shall talk.